What's up, everybody? A Sparrow with a Gun here from Sleepless Nights with another episode on Space Engineers. We're coming off of the holiday break, which I apologize if it confused anybody, but the whole releasing early for Patreon thing has kind of put a monkey wrench into some of that versus the recording and release time for episodes and stuff. So if that was confusing, I apologize, but to make it kind of simple, also because it kind of happened last minute and I didn't really announce it very well, but essentially I took the week of Thanksgiving off, and that meant I wasn't recording new episodes, so since they come out a week early, you guys were still seeing episodes on Thanksgiving week in terms of YouTube, but patrons were not. And then the following week, or when this episode was recorded, it's going to Patreons, but then there's no episodes coming out on YouTube until the following. So it's basically, I'm off the week of Thanksgiving for patrons, but I'm off the following week for YouTube. And it'll probably work the same way for Christmas, just as a heads up. Now, I am thinking of changing up some of that stuff slightly, moving into the new year, but I will discuss that at a later date when I have a more ironed out plan. Now, back to the build. So I had been working on this off camera, off and on, here and there when I had a moment or I got bored or something like that, and I've made a bit of progress. Slightly. So, this has done twofold. One, it's gotten me further along, but it's also presented a couple of more situations I wasn't expecting that I'm going to have to deal with. I also made use of the new blocks already, right in here, I believe, is one of the new ones. I kept trying to see if I could fix some things like this area and stuff like that, and I actually could, but I don't know that I want to, because what basically is happening here is we've got the central taper line that keeps moving outward. As you can see, the width keeps changing. And I kind of like the look of that, but if I want to keep the ridgeline, all the slopes lined up, then I actually could do it more like this line here, where each one keeps changing. But the taper is kind of what affects that as well. As you can see, it tapers inward, and the more shrunken in it goes, the more that affects things. So it's like, you know, kind of like this isn't aligned with that one, so if I moved it over here, then it would affect this line, which then would affect it, would just kind of domino. So at the moment, I might not do anything with it. Having said that, I have enjoyed the use of these new blocks because it created more squared edges as opposed to having a kind of triangular shape there. And I think it looks a little bit better. Let me know what you guys think if you prefer. Let's see, what block is it? It's actually... no, not that one. It's the old one, this one. So it would be something to this effect, which is not bad, but since we're not putting anything on this triangle area, I kind of feel like I like the newer block here better. But let me know what you guys think. I'm not really sure what's affecting the block sim speed, because as you can see, I'm moving just fine, but then when I pull the blocks out and try and rotate them, now it's not going to do it, of course. Make me a liar. It's got to be the mirror mode or something, that rotations and things seem slower, unless they did it on purpose, like they changed the rotation speed. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about the new blocks as well. I personally am really excited to see them. I've been looking forward to new transition blocks for a while, and they just now got around to doing it, so that's kind of cool. I'm also not sure, as you can see, I kind of did this decorative spike thing just to make it look meaner. Actually, I should make these heavy armor, shouldn't I? That way, if I ran into something, it would actually do something to it. It may not break immediately. Let me know what you guys think about that. I don't know what the heavy armor rating is, but one of the things that I could do here instead, because obviously this is just like slope blocks done in 4 directions next to each other, and then the 2x1 corners. But what I could do since the new update is I could use these blocks, the half slopes, and then do the I think they did a half slope corner, didn't they? somewhere in all this madness because they didn't organize these very well at all. I was actually having I actually got a comment about that on Discord, and I completely agree, is the locations of all of the blocks is kind of wonky at best. But anyway, I can't remember what I was thinking, but I thought maybe I could make use of the half blocks or something to do something similar, but I don't remember where the blocks are located. So as you can see, we've got the main, I would call this the base shape. I can't say that it's going to be the final form. We may polish it up or add some more detail or change some of the ridge lines or something like that. But this is the base shape, and then I cut it in half and I flew the other half underneath here and connected it to the middle so that I didn't have to build it twice. I also put this door-ish area here. I don't have a purpose for it exactly just yet, but it just kind of seemed like a cool shape. Even if we close it off or if we put weapons here or something, I just kind of like this arc, or not arc, but this like, I think that would technically be like a hexagonal shape where you got line, and maybe that's octagon. I don't know. Anyway, I like that kind of mail slot hangar door looking type thing, but I'm just not sure what to put here. Now, speaking of hangars, I ran into a bit of an issue here. So as you can see, I mirrored the top and the bottom, but it wasn't supposed to be mirrored. It was supposed to have a hangar door that was lower than the nose roof, or the nose floor, right? That posed to a problem because essentially what I did, and this is just as a heads up, this might be a little bit of a talky episode because I've already done quite a bit of work, so I'm explaining kind of the thought process here. If you're looking for more of a buildy episode, maybe we'll get to some building. I'm not sure. Don't hold your breath though, because I did a lot of this off camera, and I wanted to cover a lot of what I was thinking. So this is kind of like the center halfway point, right? So in order to make this shape match, I just cut it and put it halfway. Well, when I did that, and I matched it here, it also matched the height, essentially, to this layer, which is higher than I originally anticipated, or lower than I originally anticipated, because this should have been the ceiling line for the shooting star hangar. So, I realized this after it was already done, because I was building all this while I was like watching YouTube and stuff like that, and I was just like, okay, I did one top, just flip it over. Well, that posed a problem, because as you can see, the shooting star is going to run right into the wall. So basically, I haven't tested. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll test this and see if it works. Let's make a save real quick, because I don't want to ruin anything. I made a slope angle here that went all the way down to the floor level of the rest of the hull. So that's where we needed it to go. And then I kind of angled this, so we've got this little tube shape, if you will. So theoretically, what we're supposed to do is unhook the ship, come out a little ways when the nose starts to crest out, then tip it down and go down. I'm not sure I really like it, but I don't know if I have an alternative or not, other than just using that as the main hangar, but I kind of like the idea of there being two, because there was two in the show, and I kind of like that idea. So, we're going to try this. Okay, so let's get those out of the way. While that's doing that, we're going to enter into the star, and that's just a force of habit, but not really necessary and creative. Alright. So, our batteries are on auto. We'll turn the thrusters on. Oh, the hydrogen's on, anyway. We'll turn the gyroscopes on. The ions are already on. I can't see what I'm doing. This could not go wrong at all. Wait, why am I not moving? Wait, what? Thrusters are going. I'm not moving. What is happening? Connector's not in the way. Oh, wait. I have it attached, don't I? I do. Okay, so now my camera is actually working correctly because I detached the whole ship. So we're gonna make our way out. Actually, I almost think this might be easier in first person. Ooh, I don't know about this. Because see, the problem for me is the angle. That the ship is kind of long, but if I arc it too much... Actually, you know what, before we do this, I am going to do a little bit of building. Because I'm going to bake... I'm going to bake. This isn't Cooking Simulator. I'm going to make a fake roof area, I think. Why can't I get in the third person? There we go. I'm going to make a fake roof area type of thing. And a floor, just so that I have the proper guidelines so that I can make sure this works, because, you know, if you build all of it but your nacelles and stuff are sticking through the where the ceiling's gonna go, that doesn't really work. And I do apologize for the light. I haven't quite been able to fix that. As you can see, I tried multiple spotlights and other things, and they're just, this is a big area and they're just not bright enough, kind of thing. So, and I haven't found a way to turn off Space Engineer's auto, basically transition lenses, for those of you that have seen those, where, you know, it basically, like, gets darker when you get inside and stuff as opposed to the sunlight, and I'm kind of like, why? But anyway, I'm going to build this. I'm just going to fill in the blocks, and then we'll come back and try it again. Alright, so as you can see, this looks a lot better. I found a mod through perusing on the interwebs that I was looking at. What I've been talking about is the eye adaptation. So something about the eye adaptation I don't like. I read a few articles about it needing to be reversed. I'm inclined to agree from what I can tell and what little I know about it. However, I did find a mod that seems to have temporarily fixed this. It's called Extreme Lights, I believe. I'm not really entirely sure. Yeah, Extreme Lights. So, I don't know that I will keep these in terms of, like, adding it to the build or anything like that, but for building, it's a lot easier because there are lights that are basically the same thing, but they can go up to 200-meter radiuses, so I just crank them all the way up, and now we actually can see what we're doing. Now, in terms of interior lighting and all that, I will probably do that more vanilla, but for building purposes and for video making purposes, more importantly, I think it is a better alternative. So, I've also got the pen, if you will, the hangar area kind of built around, so we have a little bit more of a realistic exit type situation going on. So I'm gonna bring... This is gonna be difficult now because of the camera, actually. So we're gonna come out, and I'm not entirely sure about the ease of this, per se, but I kind of just want to make sure that it's even doable, to be honest. Even if it's not, like, the easiest thing in the world. Because if it's doable, I could probably always extend, and it does in fact look doable. Okay, I think we can all agree that's doable if you fly correctly and don't angle things improperly, like I just did. Actually, I am off angle now that I think about it. I must have been coming out at an angle. So yeah, I think that's doable. It's not my favorite thing in the world in terms of ease of use, and I could always cut into the other hangar a little bit and make things a little bit easier on me for docking. But I do think it's doable. Methinks. The biggest thing is actually going to be when you come up like this, is watching that the nacelles and stuff don't end up hitting the ceiling. I actually see as being a more difficult situation than anything else. And ultimately I'm planning for this to be open. Ugh, camera, stop it. Gosh, I hate the third-person camera in this game. Anyway, avoiding a rant. So I'm probably going to keep that internal wall to the ship's left gone. It's probably going to be open, but the outer edges are probably going to be similar to this. Now, one factor, however, let's close that. Oh, right. Force of habit. I don't actually need to do all that, sorry. So one factor is this won't be here, that once I've built up the hangar, it will all be like this, which is a little bit easier than working with this squared off edge here. Although, so we've got all of this here. Now, obviously, we've got quite a bit of room here. We could even put stuff above in this area. Again, I'm kind of in my own head segmenting this conveyor tube on up to like here in terms of internally as whatever mechanisms I need to do for the solar farm area. That's kind of what that's going to be for, I think. As well as if we don't need that much room, it could also be auxiliary thrusters and batteries and stuff like that. I've had a couple of people, more than one, note the issues with the gyro farm here, that if one of those batteries or anything gets hit and the thing that it's attached to gets damaged, it'll fly all over the place and cause havoc. Also, I've had people point out the vulnerability of the thruster pods out here, that if something were to happen to the pods, the ship could be dead in the water, all of those of which I agree. I do plan on running weapons on the top, or I believe that's the dorsal side, the ventral side for the technical terms, and the starboard side of, and the port on that one. I don't know that I'm going to run weapons on the inside. And I'm pretty sure I made this comment before, that my concern is if a small fighter flew between the nacelles, that this side may be shooting and these guns on top may be shooting, and it would end up cross-firing and shooting itself. That is a vulnerability. I won't deny that if a pilot or somebody or an enemy noticed that, it is something that could happen. However, I will point out this is a capital ship, and so it's going to be able to house 2 shooting star-sized ships as well as possibly a couple of fighters. I don't think more than 4 in terms of the size of the hangar, but this is actually pretty roomy in here. So if you just did small, like, vanilla fighters, like vanilla as in the stock blueprints that the game already comes with pre-built, you might be able to fit more than 4 in here. I'm not planning on that, but just saying, it's possible. And I probably will outfit this with a little bit more than I need in terms of, I don't need 2 shooting stars, I don't need 4 fighters, I'm 1 person. But I'm building this in the sense of, if it gets uploaded to the workshop, some ways that you could use it. So I'm trying to make it a little bit more versatile. So there's going to be the solar farm situation going on, as well as possibly auxiliary thrusters and batteries in this section. And if I'm not too worried about making too big of fighters or anything, and I want to say, like, actually, you know what? Let's be smart about this. Let's actually just paste, sorry. Let's just paste in a small default fighter. Default's what I should have used, not vanilla. I should have said default. So let's just do a default fighter here. And I mean, if we use that as size... Oops. Not even close to the floor. Let's say this is the main hangar area. So if you post that... Wow, I keep saying that. If you paste that there, you could actually do... Let's space them even more comfortably. Wow, I didn't actually realize how big of a hangar this could end up being. You know what? Let's leave that open for, say, a flight deck. Let's make this really comfy. So even if we did something like that, which is pretty generously spaced in the grand scheme of things. I mean, like when we look at it, this is pretty big. But let's say we do that. and then you do the same on the other side. That's still 6 fighters, and it doesn't even touch this area, nor would it get too much into the upper area. So we could actually do kind of a curve like this does, but opposite. Or no, yeah, reverse it. So it goes this way and come into like the center line, which I believe is right in here. I believe that's the center line. So we could actually bring an edge down like this and level off that, and then bring it down level into that. Now the only bad part here is if this is closed off and your access point is through there, that also means we need some kind of way to get to this hangar in here. So I'm thinking it would either need a platform, or not a platform, like an elevator, a walk space that goes above this conveyor through there and down, or some kind of, I don't like this idea for landing purposes, but some kind of tube that runs across there. I don't like that because then it gets something in the middle here that would cause a problem with these 2 hangars. So more than likely there'd be an elevator, or around the side even, maybe. There might be enough room to run it along the side. Actually, no, we're gonna do it along the side, because if I run it along the side, I might even be able to find a spot to put some windows as you're walking through here. Because I gotta remember how big this ship is. Like, this is the size of the person. This is a small amount of space. I could even do a like a 3 wide or something probably in here and have it be okay, because this wall is gonna be one side. Is that connected? I can't tell if that's connected. The textures throw me off because they changed how some of the textures look, that like then when I break it, then it looks connected. I'm confused by this. I think it's connected, but I don't actually know. That's confusing. They used to do it to where as long as it was part of the same grid, this edge wouldn't be there if it was the same texture and color. But I've had a few instances where that happened recently, and I'm kind of confused by it. Because it's like, that's kind of connected, I think. Well, that runs through there. Okay. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I don't actually know if this is a separate grid. It shouldn't be, because I have it hooked to a merge block somewhere. Here it is. So it's hooked to a merge block. So I don't know why the textures aren't connecting. That's super weird. Maybe you guys can let me know in the comments what that is all about, because I know that the hangar got separated at one point. I don't remember the circumstances, but I know it got separated at one point. But again, you guys can see it firsthand. I have this hooked, like, this is running, this is all connected, it's hooked to a merge block. Should be fine, but you know what? I'm gonna fix it. Okay, well, now I'm confused. I think it's just a texture issue, but we're going to confirm it. So I went ahead because I thought, well, maybe, just maybe, this block was only attached to this one and it wasn't really set to that grid. So I put this block on that grid, put this one on a piston, which is on that grid, so that I could really be sure that all of the grids were, you know, aligned properly. But yet it's still doing the texture thing. When I do like this, it's not blending the textures together. So what we're gonna do now, just to confirm, we're gonna do a plus sign that's completely overkill, but I'm just making sure that everything is super attached. We're gonna break that, break that, break that, break that, break these 2, and then we're gonna break these 2. And it doesn't seem to have changed the texture. However, it does seem that it is attached. So, weird. Basically, I have no clue why that's working in that fashion. So we're just going to connect that up. And you know what? Let's just go ahead and grab these 2 since they're sticking out, and we'll go ahead and connect that to that. And basically just making sure that there's multiple connection points that everything is attached. It's so weird. I really don't understand that, because it's like even here, this side is all part, like this is connected. That's so odd. I don't understand it, but whatever. I really have only ever seen that texture thing, unless they changed something, which is totally possible, when it wasn't connected right. So I'm not sure what to make of that, but whatever. We're gonna move on. If you'll notice, I do not have the shell on the hangar in here anymore, and that is just because that I reloaded a different save after we did the test flight and I crashed and it damaged blocks and things. I just started with a different thing. Although I do still have the extreme lights, which I highly recommend so far anyway. Oh, there's a merge block over here as well. Interesting. Okay, well it should be pretty connected, so I think we're safe in doing that. Still didn't change the texture connection, which is still just odd to me, but weird. Anyway, did I go too far out here? I felt like I did. I thought maybe when I did one of those beams it went through the outside, but apparently not. Okay, so there's a couple of things that I'm probably going to do moving forward. I think I want to move this incline forward slightly, maybe to about whatever this shape was that I was working with, that, you know, I think that was some other version of the shell, but I'm thinking of bringing that up to about here just to make it easier, so that when you go to bring whatever ship you had in here out, it wouldn't be quite so tedious and intricate to try and get the ship to come out. I think moving it quite a few blocks, that's like 5 or 6, I think. Maybe more. Apparently a lot more. So if I brought it out to like here, that's 11. Even if I didn't do quite that much, I could still bring it out like 9. And I think that should take some of the pressure off of trying to dock and undock with a little bit more ease than that. And so then we've got to figure out how to blend this shape into this, although I have found merit in something that I did up here that I kind of like, which is allowing a central block, not putting ramp and inverted ramp together. I do think that gives you a lot more wiggle room in terms of how you blend the two, because most commonly, in my opinion, what I run into is if this ramp or this top part is ramped in one angle and this is the inverted, when you meet on the sides, now obviously it didn't affect this as much because it took an entirely different shape, but when you meet on the sides, you can't always merge the two, especially if they're going in different directions. If you had like this ramp facing the other way, you know. So I think this middle row in between angle changes is a good idea. So on this one, we're probably going to leave this bar right here pretty much as it is. And what we may end up doing on this interior bar here is using the inverted corners and then ramps along this side so that we get a little bit more of a flare, or what do they call it? I think that's what they call it. Anyway, but we'll probably leave this bar here, and then I'll probably walk this hull shape back a little bit and then use some ramps and things to blend in like that. Now there is also this down here, which is also an area that I don't have a lot allocated for, which gives us a bit more room. And again, I keep having to remind myself this is a large grid. So like, it looks like I have a lot less room until I get down here and land. And then it's like, holy crap, there's a ton of room under here and the hangar. Actually, in fact, I almost want to hazard a guess to say it wouldn't be hard to fit large cargo containers down here. So that's kind of a relative, you know, goes to show you how much room is actually down here. I can almost do 3 large cargo containers stacked on top of each other, and even without stacking them, that's still, like, I could do a ton of these down here. So what we may end up doing is taking some of the heavy lifting off of this area, possibly, and trying to spread some of that out into the hull around here. So like maybe on this edge doing thrusters that point this way if the damage, if the block length works and stuff like that. But now that we have an outer shell going, I think we're getting a little closer. I do think I may bring down the bridge slightly. It doesn't look too bad, but a lot will depend on how we do the back end of this as well as the height part. So again, I do apologize if you guys were looking for more of a buildy episode, because I did all of this off camera and then I was kind of going through my thought process and how I went about doing some of this stuff. But in the meantime, we're gonna wrap things up for this episode. Next time we might get into some more buildy stuff since we have some more ideas planned. But let me know what you guys think in the meantime, and I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, and I will see you all next time. Peace.